Hey everyone! Welcome back to another Spring Boot video. Today, we're going to learn 5 important SQL commands that every developer should know. First, create table. This is how we set up the structure of our database tables. Next, insert. This lets us add new data into our tables. Then, select. We use this to get data back out of our tables. After that, delete. This helps us remove specific data from a table. Finally, truncate. If you want to quickly clear out all the data in a table, this is the command you need. By the end of this video, you'll know how to handle your data like a pro. So, let's jump right in. You can see the create table command syntax on my screen. Now, when we use the create table command, we need to tell it a few things. First, the table name. That's just what we want to call our table. Next, the column names and data types. This is where we say what kinds of information we want to store in each column. For example, if we want to make an employee table, it might have a name column of type varchar, because names are text, an age column of type integer, for numbers, and whatever other information we need. It's a lot like making a Java object, where each column is like a field with its own type of data. So, when creating a table, we need to define a data type for each column. As you can see on my screen, here are some commonly used data types. Varchar. Use this when you need to store text, like names or email addresses. Integer. This is for whole numbers, like employee ID or age. Timestamp or datetime, if you need to store date and time values. So, depending on the type of data your column will hold, you choose the right data type. So, when creating a table, you can also add constraints to each column. Now, this is optional, but it helps enforce certain rules on the data. For example, if you don't want a column to have empty values, you can use not null. If you need all values to be unique, like email IDs, you can use unique. To uniquely identify each record, you can define a primary key. And if you want to link this table with another table, you can use a foreign key. Alright, now let's open dbeaver. If you prefer using the terminal, no problem, the same commands will work there too. Now, in dbeaver, expand the Spring Boot tutorial user connection. Here, you'll see all the databases this user has access to. Okay, we just got this error, public key retrieval is not allowed. Don't worry, it's an easy fix. Right-click on the connection configuration and click Edit Connection. Go to Driver Properties. Find Allow Public Key Retrieval. Change it to True and save. Just a heads up, this setting can affect security, so keep that in mind. Now, let's try opening the connection again and see if it works. Alright. And this time, we can see our employee_service database. And if we open up the tables, we see there aren't any yet. That's because we haven't created any tables yet. We will now open the SQL console to facilitate query composition. Right-click the employee_service database node. Navigate to SQL Editor. Select Open SQL Console. This will instantiate the environment for SQL command execution. In dbeaver, whatever queries you type in this console will automatically run on the employee_service database. You can see it selected up there. But if you're using the terminal, you have to tell it which database to use. Just type use employee_service. This makes sure all your commands work on the right database. If you want to run a command in dbeaver, you'll see an arrow at the top. To run a command, just select the one you want and click that arrow. That's how you tell dbeaver to run it. Okay, let's make a table called user. So type create table users. Now we need to add our columns. First, add a name column. This will be a varchar type with a length of 100, perfect for storing names. Next, add age, which will be an integer, because of course, age is a number. Finally, add city, another varchar type, but this time with a length of 30. Now, select this query and click on Execute to run it. Look at my screen. The query executed successfully. Now, let's refresh the connection configuration and expand the table section. And there it is. Our users table is created, and if you open it, you'll see the columns, name, age and city, just as we defined. Alright. Now that we have our users table, let's add some data to it. Take a look at my screen, you'll see the insert command. Here's how it works. First, insert into. This tells MySQL that we're adding new data. Then, we mention the table name. Next, inside parentheses, we list the column names where we want to insert values. Finally, we use values, followed by the actual data that we want to insert into those columns. Alright. Now, let's insert some data into our users table. Start by typing insert into users. Since we're inserting values into all three columns, name, age and city, let's specify them right here. Now, after that, we use values, followed by the actual data. For example, let's add a user named Alice, who is 24 years old and lives in Bangalore. Run this query. As you can see, our query executed successfully. Now, let's add a few more entries to make our data more meaningful. Try adding 2 or 3 more users with different values. Follow along as I do it on my screen. Okay, we've added the data, but how do we make sure it's really there? Look at my screen, you'll see the select command. This command lets us get data out of our table. If you want to see everything, you can use asterisk instead of column names. If you only want to see certain columns, just write their names. To find specific data, use the where clause with conditions. And if you want to sort the data, use order by with the column name. This command is super useful for looking at your data. Now, let's try that command on our users table. Type, select asterisk from users, and execute it. Look at the result. We inserted 4 users, Alice, Bob, Mohan and John, with their respective ages and cities, and we can see the same data here. Now, suppose we only want the users who live in Bangalore. We use the same select command but add a where condition. Type, select asterisk from users where city equals Bangalore. Execute this command. See? We only get Alice and John, who are from Bangalore. Now, what if we want to sort the results by age in ascending order? Just add order by age ASC to the command. Execute this. And now we have got our users sorted by age. Okay, now that we have our data, let's see how to delete a user from the table. Look at my screen, you'll see the delete command. The most important thing to remember is if you forget to use a where condition, it will delete everything from the table. Be careful with this command, and always use a where clause when you only want to delete certain rows. Now, let's delete some data from our users table. First, let's try deleting all rows from the table, demonstrating the effect of omitting the where clause. Let's type delete from users. Now, execute this command. To verify, run the select command. See? All data is deleted. This illustrates the importance of using the where clause for targeted deletions. Now, let's quickly insert our 4 users again. Now, all users have been inserted successfully. This time, we'll delete only John, showing how to delete a specific record. Execute this command. Oh, my bad, I forgot to specify the table name in the delete command. Let's fix that and run it again. Now, run select query on user again. See? John is no longer in our table. This confirms our targeted deletion was successful. Now, if you want to clear out the whole table and start fresh, we use the truncate command. It's super simple, just like you see on my screen, truncate table_name. You might be thinking, isn't that what delete does? But they're not the same. Delete just removes rows, but it doesn't reset everything. Delete lets you pick which rows to remove with a where clause. Truncate erases everything and resets things like counters. Also, if you mess up with delete, you can undo it, but you can't undo truncate. And truncate is way faster, especially for big tables. Use truncate when you want a clean slate and delete when you need to be more careful. Now, let's run the truncate command on the users table. Execute this command. Now, run the select query again on the users table. See? All the data is gone. The table is completely empty, but the structure remains intact. If you're curious to learn more about MySQL commands and best practices, make sure to check out the official MySQL documentation. The link is right here on the screen, and I've also added it in the description below. Take a deep dive, experiment with queries, and level up your database skills. Alright, let's quickly recap what we learned today. We covered essential SQL commands, creating tables, inserting data, fetching records, deleting, and truncating tables. Now, you have a solid foundation for working with databases. In the next video, we'll take it a step further, learning how to connect to a database using simple Java code and performing all these operations directly from Java instead of dbeaver. It's going to be super exciting. So, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss it. See you in the next one.